Well, hey, good morning, everybody. This is Justice's Waiting Room. I am your host. My name is Jared. Happy Sunday. Hope you all got a good night's rest. Let's get chat open. So you don't have to be happy, but you should be pretty happy to see me. Not gonna lie. Morning, Goldfinger.
I don't care who you vote for. Like,
You can find us on YouTube and TikTok. Best part about this show, in my eyes, is that this show is interactive, meaning this ain't all about me. You see? What it is about is it is about the news as it should be presented. First of all, with sources. Um, I don't know about you, but if you've ever had a conversation about what's going on with the world with anyone, uh, most people have no goddamn idea what they are talking about. Okay? Now, this shows sort of flavor for those of you wondering, like, what kind of show is this? We focus on news and politics, and that means world news, world politics. Okay, so you'll catch a news story. It's a lot of Ukraine. It's a lot of free Palestine. It's a lot of Ukraine. Yeah, you'll see that shit. Okay, here's a story. And again, remember, I see everything as a distraction from the fact that the president of the United States used his wives, his children, in concert with his best friend and his best friend's wife to run an international organized crime ring for the better part of 20 years. And I want to continue to point out that the entire purpose of Epstein Island was to put Donald Trump in the same room as wealthy business leaders and world leaders to create video and a chain of evidence that the president could then use to extort and coerce business leaders and world leaders. So if you ever see some fuck shit happen and you're like, why is CBS paying Donald Trump all that money? Oh baby, let your mind wander. I can almost fucking guarantee that an executive at any of these media companies has been there, and Donald Trump's got pictures and video, and he ain't afraid to release it to the public. That's the same reason that the Epstein list ain't coming out. It ain't because Don's on it. It's because there's a lot of people that have actually given Donald Trump the time of fucking day that have been regretting it ever since. And they know good and goddamn well that at any point, Donald Trump is not loyal to anyone, and he'll turn on you. And I think there's a lot of people holding their fucking breath right now. Every day when they wake up, that goddamn it, I hope my name don't get drug across the fucking news. Okay? So when you see some shit coming out, you're like, do what? But here's what I think is one of the bigger stories of the day. The Pentagon has blocked Ukraine from actually using American-made long-range weapons to strike deep into Russia. And if you remember recently, we talked about how Ukraine is building its own like ballistic missile that has like a 3,000 kilometer range that could strike deep into the heart of Russia. Uh huh. And should. One of the things that I am not for is prolonged conflict. As a veteran, as somebody who is in the Marine Corps infantry during a time of war, war is hell, and it's certainly not something that's meant to be a months over, years over endeavor, as evidenced by the 1.1 million Russian soldiers that have died since they illegally invaded Ukraine. And again, I want to continue to point out, holy shit, look at Ukraine's losses. They're losing like a couple hundred people. You know what I mean? Like, Russia is being led to the slaughter at the behest of its own leadership. Its own people are, you know, Vladimir Putin is basically the worst leader. These people are the worst leaders ever. Look at them. Authoritarian dictators, right? Look at Donald Trump propping up Bibi, propping up Putin, people who are committing war crimes. Look at Donald Trump trying to delegitimize the ICC multiple times. Why? Because he's protecting Bibi. And again, I've said this whole fucking shebang about what's going on in the Gaza Strip. The entire reason that this is happening is because, as I've said before, if you look at, I think it's called The Path Home, but there's this article that we read recently which talked about predators vacating the United States and going to Israel. And all these people, all the worst people in America, they think that, you know, whatever they've done here, they're not getting punished for, but it is affecting their life. So they can go somewhere else, like Israel, be surrounded by terrible people, and then not feel so bad for what the fuck you did. But understand that beyond a shadow of a doubt, the UN is calling it an intentional famine. Starving other people is a war crime. It is a crime against humanity. Starvation. Um, so is genocide, right? And that's exactly what is going on. And to say anything else is so wrong-headed and almost on purpose, right? I don't care that Israel's our ally. That doesn't mean anything to me. I don't care if it's an intelligence thing. What I care about is what is happening, right? And again, I've said this before. If we're friends, if I call you my friend and you do something fucking bad enough, guess what? We ain't friends no more. That's how it really fucking works. Yeah, that's how I've been treated my whole life. If I did some fuck shit that was bad enough, I would be defriended by people and they wouldn't fucking speak to me anymore, right? And understand that hilariously, all those people that have voted for Donald Trump all this time, when I spoke out on social media and called you a bunch of fucking traitors and said if you got beef, I'm cooking, like, what the fuck you talking about? You want to talk about something? And guess what? They just block you and they don't talk with you because they know they're fucking scared in real life. And now these people are no longer supporting the president and they're wandering around and they're like, well, I can never support a Democrat. I don't support what the Republicans are doing, and they're lost. And that's why I founded the American Socialist Party. Okay? We have a lot of people in this country that are just dying broke. And a lot of it has to do um, with the rising cost of healthcare. Um, I work in finance and I work with people who are maxed out on their credit cards. And most of the time, when I'm asking someone what happened, you know what's really striking is how often their healthcare failed them and how often they had to max out all their credit cards just to be sitting here with you. And I just think that we could be better. I think we owe each other better. And I want you, random person that I don't know, I want you to have universal health care. I want you to not have to pay the monthly bill. You know, I got a buddy. I got a buddy that it's him and his wife, and they have two children. They work at the same company I do. And one day we were kind of talking about money. And so the company I work for pays an hourly wage, like a salary, and then you get paid on performance. Like, you get paid a percentage of the business you write, right? My buddy, who is a Navy vet and a smart cat, He lives and for if you need more information to figure this out, you live in Las Vegas. Okay, I live in the Las Vegas area. Okay, for healthcare for two adults and two children is $1,600 a month. Okay, our paychecks, our little 40-hour paychecks after taxes are about $1,000. So understand a lot of if your company that you work for pays out $15 an hour and that's all that people make is $15 an hour and it's a husband and wife and they have children, they are spending the majority of their base pay on healthcare. Like I just said, a family of four pays $1,600 a month in healthcare costs. That's without using their healthcare. And hubby gets paid 2 grand. That's for you dum dums. That's 75% of your fucking money, right? Or 80% of your money going towards healthcare. Now understand we get paid on performance, and his wife works, right? And they're homeowners, right? So they're doing good because the company pays for performance. But a lot of people that we work with that they don't get paid on performance. They just get they show up, collect an hourly wage, and get a paycheck. Now imagine if that's a fucking Amazon worker getting paid 15 fucking dollars an hour, getting drug around a fucking hot ass facility for fucking 8 to 10 hours a day, right? And then imagine them trying to provide shelter and food and pay bills and pay health care. Now imagine your wife gets sick and can't work. Now you can see right away how it's kind of fucked that we have to pay for health care and know that if you can't, it's against the law. You are required to have health care. But it basically requires a two-person household. And here's the problem that I've got. There are too many people that are just set in their ways, and this is just how it's going to be. And I can tell you as someone who I feel like I've lived a life of great change where like I could have been there's a reason a lot of people like I went to school with like high school and middle and elementary school why them people don't fuck with me is because I was psycho-religious and anti-drug and shit, right? And again, not the worst quality to have being like anti-drug, but like all of them. Jared, shut up. Um, I was like the guy flushing people's cigarettes down the toilet, which, again, in hindsight, I do not regret flushing my aunt's cigarettes down the toilet at all. Um, would have been a little more curious about booze, not to drink, but to figure out which of the adults that I knew had a fucking alcohol problem. I would have explained some shit. And you know what I'd have done? I'd have walked if I could do my life over again. I'd have walked up to adults more often and been like, drink, and just taken their drink and went, ugh, and hand it back to them. Hmm? Yeah, just because I know for a fact my entire life that if the adults were drinking, they were hiding it. Hmm. You know why? You know why I know the adults were hiding drinking? You're not gonna believe this. You're not gonna believe this. Do you know what was really common in my high school? For all 4 years of high school? People sneaking booze into high school. Like a little water bottle with uh, with some booze in it. Little vodka sippy sip. Yeah, that was high school for me. Where do you think those kids got that behavior from? Do you think that a young child just woke up one morning and was like, I'm going to put vodka in a fucking water bottle and take it to school and sneak and be drunk at school? Do you think that they got that behavior on their own? Do you think do you think that or do you think maybe mom sits around with a coffee mug full of fucking bourbon? Do you maybe think we got a drinking problem in the house? Do you kind of understand? Now, as far as people smoking weed and shit, I never give a fuck about that, dude. If you think about culture and like what was the culture when I was in high school, late 90s, early 2000s, pot culture was cool. So the kids doing smoking dope, nobody gave a fuck about that. It was the kids fucking smoking in the bathroom, smoking cigarettes in the bathroom, smoking on school property. But the thing that always drove me fucking crazy when I was in high school is even super anti-drug, super Christian me could see the hypocrisy in they fucking ruined people's high school careers over a fucking cigarette. And my goddamn health teacher smoked cigarettes out back of the school. We'd be leaving out of high school. Imagine, think about a mind fuck this is. About a whole generations of fucking kids not taking care of their bodies. Why? Because your fucking PE teacher is standing outside the back of your high school smoking a cigarette in plain view of everyone. And oh, by the way, he's got a massive belly, right? Not exactly the pinnacle of health, right? We just got restricted. For what? There's nobody in here. We're talking about people being hypocrites. What the fuck? Okay. That's insane. I got a restriction for what? Anyway, so I've you know what's crazy? We've been doing this show forever, right? And the more we do this show, the less I give a fuck about TikTok. Like, god damn, TikTok is awful. Stacy said, I remember my parents smoking in the hospital visiting family. Yeah. Now, here's what I'll never do. I'll never not call myself a hypocrite. Listen, I smoked cigarettes from the time I was 18 years old until I was about 35. Yeah. I got basically where I was like halfway. Like half my life I smoked, half my life I didn't. Don't fucking smoke cigarettes. Let me be the fucking anti-smoking PSA that you need. You don't. That's the fucking thing about a cigarette is that you don't fucking need it. As someone who was a pack a day fucking smoker, as someone who became a pack a day cigarette smoker, who has not bought cigarettes in 7 years, even when someone hands me one, meaning it's a freebie, and I light it and I smoke and I feel no joy, and I realize, damn, I wasted a lot of money, and I fucked my fucking health up, and I don't even give a fuck about the cigarette no more. God damn. And just throw the cigarette. It don't mean anything to me. Ugh. Ugh. Makes your breath taste like shit. Makes you smell like shit. Let's just talk about what it really is, right? Now, when it comes to herb, depends on the herb. It really does. You could catch me taking a long draw. Bob said they stopped the smoking area where the students could smoke when they started high school. Yeah. Now, here's the way I think about smoking cigarettes. If you went to high school after Columbine, I ain't saying shit about you smoking cigarettes. Uh, the rest of the time that I was in high school, so that's all 4 years of high school. Columbine happened when I was a freshman. 9/11 happened when I was a senior. The entire time I was in high school, I never said shit to the kids smoking cigarettes because, like, what the fuck? Who the fuck am I? I mean, I watched 9/11 happen live in senior econ. You think I'm saying shit to kids that are chain smoking after that? No, fuck no. I'm one of them. Okay. But like I said, we make excuses our whole lives so we could have our stupid little habits. And my goal is to make people in life is to make people realize how stupid cigarette smoking and being a fucking hardcore alcoholic are just dumb. Do something better with your life. Don't do meth, but like do something better. Not coke. Don't do that. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I'd prefer if you just did lettuce, but let this be a reminder to update your devices. Okay? I know a lot of you are rolling around with smartphones that are years old. Okay? But an American Airlines flight had to be diverted. Arugula, yeah, because a passenger's device caught on fire. Okay? Yeah, you can. Troubled domestic chipmaker. I don't know what the fuck is going on with the government buying Intel. I don't know why the hell we would do that, given that Intel's in trouble. You get it? Like, why the fuck would you buy a failing company? But again, yeah, somebody's cell phone caught on fire on an airplane. Let this be the PSA to go get a new phone, so that you don't gotta think about that for sure. Hmm. Hey, the thing about it is, we stopped the show on TikTok and restarted it, and we were already right back where we were. Right. So yeah. Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. You know, one of the things I've realized as I get older, I have a great deal of empathy for the South. Um, People in Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana. Them's my people, man. When I was on active duty, I had like my friends were from like Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama. Um, God, I mean, I was people always say like Indiana has a low quality of life and nobody wants to live here. That's not fucking true. Indiana is like has Indiana has Indianapolis has two suburbs with some of the lowest crime in the country. Suburbs. Carmel, Indiana, and its neighbor, Noblesville, Indiana. Hmm. Now, Noblesville's a little bit of an older suburb, a little more easy to settle, and Carmel is a little newer. Hmm. Yeah, but I just think about the combination of factors. I have no empathy for Florida. I have no empathy for Texas. They're massive fucking states. Fuck all that. They got all the resources they fucking need. Okay? But Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama are underfunded healthcare, underfunded education. It's like they just want y'all to die and be dumb, right? So it's like every time I read a story where it's like some southern state declares an emergency, and it's like, fuck, dude. I want to talk about Donald Trump mobilizing 1,700 National Guard troops in 19 states. Okay? I wanna point out that the numbers are weird. As a veteran, as somebody that was on active duty, okay, that's less than 100 fucking people per city. Less than that's 90 people per city. That is I think like 18 fire teams of five, basically. But it's like, why would you send Miss Mel said I'm insulted as an army veteran and medic. Yeah, shout out to all my fellow service members. As a Marine Corps infantry veteran, former active duty, nothing but respect for the Natty. Nothing but respect for people that were smart enough to join and take an oath they intend to honor for their whole life. Make sure those of you that served that you know why. The reason that you served is to protect your country against all threats, foreign and domestic. And the problem is, we became partisan. And that was never supposed to be how military works. We are supposed to be apolitical and care more about the Constitution, our country, right? You're supposed to be patriotic. You're supposed to really care about the place you live. There are people that live in this country that hate this country. They hate it so much that they take money from foreign governments. And hey, that's Republicans and Democrats. Never forget, every elected Republican takes money from Russia. 100 elected Democrats take money from AIPAC. Right, we aren't here to fight our own citizens. Understand that no active duty part timer don't matter. We have not been trained to fight against Americans, against our own people. They don't teach you that shit. When they teach you riot training, it's riot shield and fucking pepper spray and stay the fuck back and keep your riot shields shoulder to shoulder. What the fuck are you talking about? Right? Create a wall. That's not martial law. So understand, riot control and martial law are not the same thing. So there are no people on active duty or in the National Guard with training on how to run martial law. And for those people saying martial law is here, you're a fucking provocateur. You have no concept of what martial law looks like. And until you see roadblocks in and out of your city and checkpoints manned by military personnel, they are sending less than 100 fucking people to 19 different states that are gonna walk the fuck around with a pistol in their hip that ain't got no bullets in it. It's all for show. They are props and probably not feeling really good about themselves. You might want to lift them up. Tell them that a Marine you know told me to tell you to put that fucking pistol in your backpack, pussy. You don't even need it on your hip. You ain't gonna use it. So put it the fuck away. Mm-hmm. Yep. Instead of scaring people. Imagine, first of all, the thing that bothers me the most as someone that was in the Marine Corps infantry, nothing fucking bothers me more than seeing someone in public in camis. Nothing fucking irritated me more because, first of all, when I was on active duty in the Marine Corps, we worked. We had a fucking job. So my ass is fucking sweating from the time I wake up until the time they fucking let us go. I am out of that fucking uniform stat. I do not want to be wearing that shit. What the fuck are you talking about? That sweaty, nasty, heavy ass shit. What the fuck? Am I wrong? So I go change out as fast as fucking possible. To me, people are like, I live in my uniform. Get the fuck out of here. Get me in fucking shorts and a t-shirt ASAP. It is hot as balls. The fuck. And a beer in my hand so I don't get called for duty. Okay? So when you see these people walking around in fucking uniform, you better never see bravado. You better never see anybody with their chest puffed out being proud to fucking be here. Because I'm telling you, the people that are being sent to these 19 fucking cities are not happy. I want to continue to point that out. These are not the people that are bent to do Trump's will. These are just the people that they're sending. And often what happens when you can actually get them to show up is they're a bunch of high-ranking people that ain't marching for nobody. Sure as fuck ain't drawing weapons on somebody. Just know that. They should absolutely. If and understand this, one of the things that I keep in mind is that there are a lot of people out here in the world that live and die with likes and comments. It's like their whole lifeline. And there are a lot of people out there that have no ties, none, to the military community. You understand? I'm still friends with people that are on active duty. I still know people that I served with that are still in the military, and I still talk to them pretty regularly. You see, I wasn't one of those fuck ups that got kicked out of service. I was actually very good at my fucking job. Hmm. Yep. Some have no ties to the military community and say they're military. Yeah, that's fucking crazy. Um, but yeah, I was not like separated because I was a bad guy. My battle buddy R.J. Rady was murdered while I was on active duty, and they medically separated me against my will. Now I had had a shoulder injury, uh huh, but they don't separate people because your shoulder's fucked up. They usually just lop the shit off, but they didn't do that. They gave me all the treatment and space that I needed to get my right arm fixed, and then they waited until 6 months after RJ had passed, and then they sent me to the Navy hospital on Camp Lejeune, and I sat down with this nice Jewish doctor. And how do I know he was Jewish? Because of his hair, and he smelled like mahogany. And he sat me down and he said, "There's nothing here for you. Go home." And he handed me paper orders to go home, and that's who they could like get to do it. I'm guessing. Hmm. So I wasn't like disliked. Something really fucking unfortunate happened, and so when something really unfortunate happens, people do kind of have to wrestle with some shit. Like, am I gonna fuck with this person or am I not gonna fuck with them? Because like it's a little iffy. Understand that I wasn't in the state. I wasn't even in the state when RJ died. I wasn't even there. And I did fight with a lot of guilt for like over a decade, right? Guy that I lived with, a guy that I hung out with outside of work. I mean, he was my best friend while I was on active duty. A guy who I had made plans with after we got out because we'd both gotten injured. RJ blew out his knee and I fucked up my shoulder. Hmm. A couple training cas. It happens. Um, so yeah, I still talk to guys I served with. Guys I served with are still on active duty. One of the my staff sergeant that I talk about all the time is a warrant officer now. Hmm? CWO. Don't have him, but he was a bad motherfucker anyway. 5 grandchildren school is very scary. Yeah, and those that bypass the Constitution come into power. Yep. John Brown Gunglow. Reports came out some of the National Guard been helping people load groceries into their car. Mhm. MAGA at Thursday rally say he was a vet, but then asked his VA card, he confessed he was not a vet. Yeah. If I'm one of those people that you'll run into in your life that I have my DD 214 is a PDF. I'll send it to you, both sides. I have absolutely nothing to hide. I am not a war hero. I don't profess to be one. I know some. Hmm. The great best thing about being me, will those people you know raise arms against the citizens? No, not in a million years. But you have to understand. There will be someone. One of these 1700 is going to fuck up. Just know. Hmm. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It is an unlawful order. As soon as they say put rounds in your guns and aim down on Americans, and if they cross this line fire, it's over. So understand, this administration is testing the limitations. Their whole grift here is to push someone as far as they can go. Well, what they can absolutely do is they can order some people around. And so, yep, you could tell 20 National Guardsmen to LA. How many showed up? How many showed up? 300. I want to continue to point that out. I call that 85% of people said fuck you. You could say whatever you want to counter that, but you're just wrong. Numbers don't lie. 85% of the people that he called said fuck that and did not show up. The 300 that did show up, they laid the fuck around. They did not have a hotel to stay in. They did not have food to eat. They laid the fuck around and stood the fuck around, bored out of their goddamn minds. And remember, I want to continue to point this out, and this shit drives me up a goddamn wall. And what happened in LA? One person was arrested, was held held in purgatory there by the guard. And why? Because they ran through a cordoned off area and did not heed warning and got taken down to the ground. What the fuck is wrong with you? Oh, my bad, I had headphones on. I'm a student. We're on a college campus, you dumbasses. Oh, by the way, that was a 25-year-old Army veteran who they let go. My bad, dog. So, again, I want to continue to point out that people that got awfully upset. Dude, I've never in my life heard the disrespect for the military like I have. When I'm like, what? They're not roughing people up. They're not the ones shooting fucking pepper spray. That was ICE. That was ICE walking around with a fucking paint gun. That was ICE walking around shooting pepper spray at people, and that dude walked up with bear spray and shot that motherfucker in the face with bear spray. I bet you he don't ever do that shit the fuck again, son. But yeah, you can order people to go places. He can tell the Marines to go anywhere. He can send you any climbing place and make you guard a federal building. That's about the extent of that. Now, when he tells National Guardsmen to pull weapons, again, I'll tell you, that's not an unlawful order. Keg's Breath says he wants National Guardsmen with police National Guardsmen with a peace working with the police. And no, that's not how that works. National Guard's going to show up. Their commanding officer is going to talk to some CO of some captain of some police department and tell them, we don't take orders. We'll stay here until we get called home. No questions asked. We ain't doing shit. You don't order my men around. My men ain't saying shit to your people. Is that fucking simple? And understand what Donald Trump has really done is he has made ICE into the most disrespected organization ever. And I'm not one of those crazy people that's like, oh, we should start hurting people that are in ICE. Understand, the only people that are showing up for ICE are hardcore Trumpers. The only people showing up every day, excited to fucking be here, are batshit crazy, borderline criminal people who are absolutely willing to, man, they will show up at your house and beat down your door with masks on, and they will even go so far as to pretend to be ICE, pretend to be police, pretend to be federal agents. Don't do anything illegal that puts you in a position to have any of them agencies come to you, and know that you have a right to self-defense in your abode. It's that simple. Don't do anything that would draw that attention, and when it comes, you know it's not righteous, right? You know, if they're not holding up a fucking warrant and saying we have a warrant, and they're not ICE. Because ICE has administrative warrants. Those aren't real warrants. That's not a judicial warrant. See, the whole thing about this is it's all smoke and mirrors. It's all shock and awe. It's not about results. It's about scaring people. Okay? You have two options. You can sit in your house scared, or you can go to a fucking protest. That's the way I think about it. You can either sit at home and try to keep your head down, or you can go where everybody else is and protest and take your licks with everybody else. As I've said before, it's either the gulag, or you die in your house. What's it going to be? That's the way you got to think about it. Yeah, absolutely. He's using Hitler's scare tactics. Anybody that says protest what is not worth the effort. If you're still asking, what are we protesting? You're a cold idiot, and I don't have time for you. It's that fucking simple. Yeah. Just know, just know that you still need to wear a mask. If you leave your house and you're gonna go out and be around people, wear a mask. hmm Remember, wearing a mask shows that you care more about the other people around you than you do yourself. Because you're not thinking about, oh, is this cool or not? No, you're thinking about, man, it would be a shame if either I contracted it or I gave it to someone or I passed it to someone else. You're better than that. We're better than that. Yeah, absolutely need to be in the streets. Most importantly, though, you need to join a union. If you ever wondered why corporations have so much power, you could blame Citizens United, but you could point to the fact that for the last 70 years, union membership has declined. Contact your AFL CIO, whatever, join a union, start doing union shit, and understand that if it isn't for a union, if it's not for a union, it's probably not worth it. Mhm. No, not at all. I mean, I just watched a medical professional with a PhD in their field say, "Oh, he won't make it 6 months." So I think today is the 24th, though. So according to all the psychics I know, Donald Trump's got less than 40 minutes. So I just want to continue to point out 9:20 today. For those of you like sitting around wondering like, when's this motherfucker supposed to drop? Today at 9:20. It's 8:42. TikTok, motherfucker. Literally. Ha! We're on TikTok. That's too funny. All right, so hey. Let's see. They called the police during an NFL game because somebody threw a neon green dildo onto the field. Uh, Mike said there's no unions for electrical engineers. Brother, I work in finance. ICE masking up are the same ones who refused to during COVID-19. Yeah, I know. They'll wear a mask to hide their identity, but not to keep themselves alive. That's pretty wild. And then I was just like, yeah, everybody should wear a mask if you're gonna go around, be around other people. Wear a COVID mask. I didn't misread anything. I read it and decided to make sure that I told everybody wear a mask. You see, when I'm saying when they're zigging, I'm zagging. You see, when the powers that be, right? When the powers that be are stripping union rights, why will they hide their identity? Uh, like ICE? Because if you started identifying ICE and you had clear images of who they are, and by the way, wearing a balaclava to hide your identity is stupid. Again, as somebody that was on active duty in the infantry, we uh we wear accoutrement to keep things out of your face and eyes. You hear what I'm saying? And you don't wear a balaclava. Why? Because it sticks to your face. And if I take a picture and I enhance, I can see your face through your balaclava. That's right. So what you want, I like the kiafa, right? The loose fitting scarf that sits high on your head and kind of around. It kind of gives you a more powerful presence. But then also, if you wear goggles and you have a kiafa on, you can't fucking tell who you are. So just know if you're wearing like a balaclava, you're a douchebag, especially if you're an ICE agent. Hmm. Do you know where I would wear a balaclava? Football. That's that's what that's for. It's not for real life. It's not for being out in the wild. But yeah, you could totally tell who people are right through their balaclavas. It sticks out real bad. What are proud boys? Gay men. What? Somebody asked a very innocent question. What are proud boys? And I said, well, gay men. Hmm. Closeted. Hmm. Hmm. So closeted that they're willing to be violent, outwardly violent toward other Americans. Imagine if somebody sent you an email with a job offer in it and the line was, do you want to hurt other Americans? If you're an ICE agent, you said, yeah. Yeah, I kind of do. I kind of do hate the people to my right and my left. Hmm. They were in prison. Enrique Tarrio, the founder of Proud Boys, by the way, not a white person. I want to point that out. Raul asked a dumb question. How is ICE hurting Americans? Well, other than deporting 70 American citizens, and beyond that, not worth, not worth. I'm done. I quit. You got me. No, I have no interest in having any further conversation. Once it's like you're asking obvious, stupid questions, I'm off you as a person. Hmm. And that's how I can tell you're a bot. When you ask dumb questions, why? What are we protesting about? I got nothing for you. How is ICE hurting Americans? Blocked into the sun, yeeted. That's right. By the way, it looks like I'll be playing Battlefield 2042 later today. Likely Alien. You should add me. I might be playing with one of the community members. I was playing with him earlier, but we couldn't figure out our mic situation. It's probably my fault. When you revoke someone's legal immigration status and call them a criminal, it's not justice. No. And I want to continue to point out what misinformation? Blocked. Their training is dancing to the YMCA, to the, yeah, YMCA. Yeah, I love it when people post comments from like bot, provocateur, traitor. Mm, mm, mm. Remember, you elect people to do like powerful stuff, right? Use your power for good. You know what they're doing in Florida? In Florida, they're ordering the removal of rainbow crosswalks. Yeah, that's right. Cool is giving misinformation. What do you mean by that, Cat? Mike, you were saying there's no union for electrical, whatever. Here, work in America. I work in finance. It's the Wild Wild West. There ain't no unions for finance workers. It's why would there be? But Kat, what do you mean? And it doesn't surprise me at all. You got to remember, Larry Page. Larry Page is a Trump supporter. Google supports Trump. But you elect people to do a job. Hmm. 4,500 Marines. You see, this is where we're talking about numbers. Y'all want to talk about some shit? When you're talking to me about 1,700 fucking National Guard getting sent to 19 cities, that's 90 people per city. What the fuck are we doing? That ain't no military deployment. What are they gonna do? Go stand around in small groups? The fuck? Yeah, they're not giving any of them weapons. And if you see a National Guard in your city, you could tell them I told them, put that fucking pistol in your backpack, pussy. You ain't got no bullets in that bitch. You ain't doing shit. You ain't working with the fucking police. That's not how this works. Okay? Anti-cartel mission. Okay? So here's task and purpose. This is a reputable site. Looking up a tree and it said AZ. It was a pie. I've never really used. I hate to say that. I use Google for everything. I Google search everything, but I'm never using Google. You get what I'm saying? I'm not looking at what Google's telling me and being like, "Oh, that's Bible." No, I'm going to like a source, somebody that's like reputable. Here's what I'm not about. Ready? I am not about using the U.S. military as a show of force. hmm In my eyes, as someone that was on active duty, you are either preparing or you're conducting or you're on fucking leave. And that's it. There ain't no show of force. I ain't staging shit. If we're going, we're going. That's them fucking rules. You know what I'm saying? I ain't lifting up my units. I'm not standing up my military to be a show of force. Nah, we're past that shit. Everybody knows the U.S. military ain't nothing to fuck with, right? Why use them as anything but? So when you ask me how do I feel, yes. How do I feel about sending National Guardsmen to 19 cities? Given the lack of volume, it shows weakness. You could not even get 100 dudes, 100 people per city. If the crime is so bad in all these cities, how come you can only get like 90 people to show up? That ain't gonna do shit. Why didn't you just tell the police departments to hire 90 of your buddies? Don't give me any ideas, Jared. But know that all this uh, sending uh, Natty Guard to all these cities, and Indy's one of them. Indy's one of them. Know that the reason that he's doing all this shit is because the Rockland lawsuit's happening. There's all these negative things happening to Donald Trump, and he has no choice but to deflect and try to create the news. And that's what he. And you gotta understand, he thinks this is all a show. He thinks this is all fun and fucking games, right? And remember, it's not at all about. It's not about results. It's about shock and awe. It is an old army tactic. And by the way, with the exception of Mike from YouTube, uh, again, goddamn, what did they teach y'all? Holy shit! Every fuck up I've met in my life, army, and it starts at the top. Tulsi Gabbard, the fucking Flynns, the Tulsi Gabbard and the Flynns, they were on the same base. Ah, ah, fucking, not Mike, but goddamn, I got a hater right here in Indy, Army, fuck up. I had a boss at a job that was the former sales executive. He was a C-suite executive that took a massive fucking pay cut and a role reduction to come be my direct boss. What is Tulsi Gabbard doing now? Other than being a Russian asset? Have you seen Thiel is giving presentations on the Antichrist now? You mean the Antichrist is giving presentations about himself? That was kind of wild. The Antichrist. That he is literally the Antichrist. Actually, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, Vladimir Putin, Bibi, Donald Trump, they're all trying out to be on the starting five of the Antichrist All Stars. And they don't even play ball. Tulsi Gabbard declared herself Republican. Have you ever noticed when somebody goes Republican, they go ugly? Have you ever noticed that? It's like when you have no morals and ethics, it's like your body just says fuck. And that's what you look like forever. Yeah. A bag of ass. hmm the U.S. is seeking to deport Kilmar Abrego Garcia to Uganda after he refused to plead guilty to human trafficking. That is called coercion. Um, this government is fucking stupid, and also he's gonna sue the dog shit out of the government, and he's gonna win. Like, what the fuck? This regime is openly trying to force Kilmar Brego Garcia to admit to a crime that he didn't commit. Otherwise, we're gonna ship your dumbass to a fucking African country. Know that shit's not gonna pop off. No, that's not gonna pop off. Because I'm guarantee you the first thing he did was call his fucking boys. Get your gat, get on the block. ASAP. You see ice, no mas. Oh, and by the way, I was thinking of a handy slogan. The heat might not stop ice, but Molotovs do. Anyway, evil rots from within. And then is that a skunk? That is kind of funny. I read they convicted him on a grand jury. They didn't. Here's the AP story. They didn't convict him. He didn't do anything illegal. He's a victim. They even took U.S. citizens. Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, remember in the beginning of Donald Trump's term, they had some thing happen out west. They took 300 people and sent them to El Salvador. Okay, well, when think about how reckless and how deporting people without due process, you're gonna deport American citizens. It's been a far right regime. This has been 50, 60 years in the making. Donald Trump is Krasnov. Oh, understand deportation's also a crime against humanity. What they're doing to Kilmar Brego Garcia falls under the ICC crimes against humanity. Deportation. So that's why you see the president of the United States delegitimizing the ICC. so that if he were ever to be charged, he could just say like, yeah. Well, the fact that stolen land gives a lot of connotation. I mean, you got to realize the American dream's like to own your own home, right? So if the American dream is to own your own home, and you go around telling every American that you live on stolen land, right? You're not going to have a lot of friends. So I understand the notion. This ain't our land, it belongs to the American Indians. Uh huh. Right. But we live in a society that I didn't build, and so I'm just here to take care of the property that I have, and I don't possess it. You know what I mean? And so what I try to think of is returning my land to the earth, right? I try to make my land safe, right? So the first thing that my wife and I invested in was like we cut down some dead trees because they're just gonna fall and hurt someone. So we saved up our money and we spent that money to make our land safer just to be on, right? Um, and then ultimately, like I'm gonna use my land to like grow a garden, right? I'm gonna gather water. I'm gonna put solar panels up. I'm gonna try to be a good neighbor, right? Um, so it's really disheartening as someone who intends to do so much good and has done try to do good to continue to hear like you live on stolen land, right? We live in a society, right? I'm not arguing. I'm not even saying you're wrong, but you're kind of an asshole, right? So if we could just find a way to not be an asshole, right? It's like when someone that rents, right, and lives in an apartment with three other people that they share an abode, sitting around talking about we live on stolen land. It's just like, you might. I bought this, right? And so it's kind of like a man. I hate hearing people say that. No, and I'm not saying like you live in an apartment. It's just like, hey, man, there's some of us out here trying to do it right, right? Like I get it. There's probably my house is built up on a hill. My house is probably built up on an old Indian burial ground. Let's be real about it, right? But I'm not gonna beat myself up. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do the best I can. So when someone says we live on stolen land, it's like, yep, cool. I want to continue to point out the President of the United States is an idiot. As this administration has ordered Orsted to halt offshore wind project, which is in Denmark. Here, a judge has blocked. Here's these small wins in court are what really matters here. A judge has blocked Trump from cutting money to Chicago, LA, and other cities over sanctuary policies. So think about Donald Trump, the tribal warlord, right? Trying to cut funding to cities that he's also sending his goons to, right? So this is a civil war. If you haven't figured that out yet, this is a civil war. Now, the issue that Donald Trump's gonna run into is that none of his goons have bullets. They are not putting rounds downrange. They're not shooting people, not taking people dead or alive. And again, as I'm not a Democrat, okay, I believe very firmly in the Constitution. Right, your First and Second Amendment rights, your right to speak out, and the right to defend yourself. Okay, um, Obviously, if you're a person of color or a member of the LGBTQIA plus community, because I saw ICE attack a trans person yesterday. I watched that video. Trump micromanage everything means he's going communist. Yeah, when the government buys a company or buys part of a company, that's communism. That's the elimination of private equity. Hmm. That's turning a private company into a utility, which is what I've said, and I'm a socialist, right? So just remember, mhm. Stacy, if it happens today, shit is gonna pop off. Remember that I told you this. JD Vance has the charisma of a dead animal. Okay, just did what? What company was what? Donald Trump ordered the purchase of 10% of Intel. Yeah, the U.S. government owns 10% of Intel, which is communist as fuck. Yeah. Hmm. It's a terrible financial decision. You don't buy a failing chip manufacturer in a country you just started penalized chip making, right? You fucked up all the agreements with all of our mineral producing countries that were willing to sell their minerals to us. You just jacked up the prices on all those. And then you go and buy a struggling company that's struggling because of your dumbass? Fucking idiot. Remember, their objective is not to be successful. And it's clear to me that Donald Trump is receiving his instructions from Vladimir Putin. And they're all fucked up. And the purpose of that is to fuck us up as much as possible. Hmm. So if DJT dies in the next 15 minutes, somebody asked, yeah, you saw how he treated Zelensky versus Putin. He rolled out the red carpet, rode in a car with him, and shit. Um, didn't roll out the red carpet. Was disrespectful to Zelensky. Hmm. Yep. Just know I'm on Zelensky's side. Yeah. Yeah. FDT all day. Hmm. So remember this: immigrants built this country. Yeah, Trump is uh, Trump is a puppet. Yo, crazy! All right, so there's this beach in Spain that's a tourist hotspot, and they had to shut down the beach because of a poisonous slug. You want to go? Venomous sea slugs. That's crazy. Its nickname is the Blue Dragon, and it's only about 3 centimeters long. Fuck! They just shut down a whole beach. Yo, we're all fucked, dude. Nature hates us. More Americans are applying for refugee status in Canada. Jesus Christ. And remember, here's the Supreme Court allowing Donald Trump to cancel almost $900 million or $800 million in research funding. Again, this regime is anti-DEI. I'm pro-DEI. I think diversity, equity, and inclusion is what makes America great. Immigrants built this country. Immigrants are the best part about this country because we are all immigrants. Unless you're an American Indian, unless you're an indigenous person, you're an immigrant. hmm The sooner you settle with that, the easier life will be, just on the whole. The sooner you realize, like, I am the son of an immigrant or the grandson of an immigrant, or I'm an immigrant myself, and I should be looking out for everybody because, you know, Niemöller is correct. Ultimately, like, first they went for the socialists and the communists and then the trade unionists, and then they went for the Jews, and I'm not Jewish, so I was like, what the fuck? And then they came for me, and there was no one to speak for me, right? Remember the Niemöller quote? It's fucking true. You know why they go after the socialists first? Because the socialists are just as capable of achieving power, by the way. So make no mistake about it. Socialists are capable of achieving power, but you have to understand the goal. The goal of socialism is to I want everyone to have universal health care, universal education, universal housing, and universal income. That's right. I think that in the United States, part of the package, the plan, is that if you're an American, you don't pay for health care. Your rent is either severely reduced, controlled, or it doesn't exist. And then you got a little money from the gov every Friday. Just thanks for playing. hmm And then, yeah, just keep their light bills on. Fuck it, I don't care. Buy some goddamn lottery tickets. I don't give a shit. Um, and if you should decide to get an education, as someone who's been in the education system for like the last 30 years and ultimately had to make some decisions, like I'm not going to invest in an education that I'm not going to work in that field, for the record. So that's why I don't have a bachelor's degree, because I originally went to Purdue for flight to be an air traffic controller, and the FAA went on a hiring freeze, so there were no good pilot jobs, there were no good air traffic control jobs for years. I'm so glad I did not go ahead and finish that degree. Do you know how much it would have cost? I still had like 4 semesters left at Purdue. That's like 40 grand. Okay. And then I recently was back at Purdue studying data analytics, and I was crushing. I had like a super high GPA until I got to the capstone courses, and all them programs are about AI now. And I was just like, I'm not paying 40 grand for 4 semesters, which would technically be 2 years, Peppa. Nobody's judging. Like, what? But instead of borrowing that money, getting that education, I don't value AI. I was sitting in them classes and I'm thinking, all this shit that I've spent last couple years refining, my math skills are fucking excellent, right? My databasing skills are on point. I'm figuring out how to program, right? By hand and doing it myself. And once you're doing all that, yeah, pay a tuition to train the AI, it's about to replace me. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no. 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 And so what I did was I was like, okay, what job can I get as a socialist that will help every person that I talk to? And I did my fucking research. hmm And I sat around and I was like, okay, debt is exploding in the United States. Americans owe more money now than ever, and that amount of money is going up. We have a regime that is firing and defunding, and people have lost their jobs. We have the highest joblessness claims since the last time he was in office. Okay? So, with all those things going on, what job could I get that would help everyone I talk to? Now, if you've got a lot of debt, there are some things that you could do. You could declare bankruptcy, which typically you go to a bankruptcy attorney for. And by the way, no, for those of you wondering, don't do that. Don't declare bankruptcy unless you're upside down. And most of the people I talk to ain't. They think they are, but they're not. You don't know what upside down is. You might want to declare bankruptcy if the only way you're to pay all your bills is to continually use your credit cards, right? If you're paying your light bill and your gas and your electric and your groceries and your credit card and you don't make enough money otherwise to support yourself, you have a problem. Probably need to declare bankruptcy. But most of the people I talk to are maxed out on their credit cards, are paying hundreds, if not $1,000 or more dollars a month in interest, and are not able to save money. And my job is to tell you, stop paying all that interest. Stop paying your creditors right now. Let's cut your payment in half. Stop paying them. Stop talking to them. Stop using their card. Let us negotiate for you. Let us get rid of the interest. Let us get rid of like 40% to 60% of the principal that you owe and get out of debt ASAP and start saving your money. The cost of goods is rising and you already cannot afford your bills. And just understand that the only people that aren't like, yes, God, yes, Jared, please sign me up for that, please get me out of debt, are men who are like, nuh-uh, I can defeat these credit cards. I'm big, strong man. And just so you know, credit cards get fucking everybody. Credit cards are undefeated all time. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Mike said they start their general strike on March 6th. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Bob said brain-eating amoeba in freshwater lake in Missouri. Ooh, I'm going to need to see that story. Hold on, let me get there. Emmanuel Harrow. Yo, it's a crazy story in the LA Times, yo. Parents of a missing baby faked his kidnapping are now accused of murder. Well, Zeke, you know, one of the things that I regularly have to explain to people is look up your fee schedule for your credit card and look at how your payment is compacted with interest. And so let's say that you've got 5 credit cards, you're paying $1,000 a month on your credit cards. These means that the balances are all like $5,000 or higher. So you're paying a couple $100 a month on each of those credit cards and $1,000 overall, and we're just talking about credit cards. Understand that if you have personal loans, payday loans, student loans, I can help with those too. And you know, I talked to someone yesterday. They just graduated and all their loans are controlled by like Department of Ed and Nelnet. Those are going to get sold eventually. Not like now, but in the next 6, 12, 18 months, couple years, those will get sold to a servicer. And once they're no longer private Department of Education loans and they go to a servicer, I could save you like 40 to 60% on your student loans. Yep. I already talked to someone who had 300 grand in student fucking loans, and they didn't want to enroll that debt. They were like, let's tackle that bitch later. And I was like, okay, what you got cooking? And they had $68,000 in other debt. So I was like, yeah, all right, well, let's take care of this high interest debt that you're actually fucking paying. They're already through the program. They called me. My mother died. I have enough money to pay this off in full. About my student loans, and just so you know, 303, that's how much they brought me. $303,000. And guess what the quote was? Guess what their payback is? Do some math in your head. Kids playing along at home. 303,000. How much do they pay back? There's two numbers. There's how much do they pay back if they just pay their payments, and how much if they don't pay interest and we cut that shit in 40 to 60% and you pay us plus our fee to do business. Okay? So if they were going to pay their student loans out, it's a milli. Did you hear what I said? So if you get to go get a PhD and it costs you a few hundred thou, and you're just going to pay them fucking marked up student loans, that 300 grand's a milli. Easy. So they're going to enroll their $300,000 in student loans into our program. And how much do you think they'll pay for those? If you guessed less than 170K, you were correct. And we cut their payment down in like a third on what it would be. And they're like uncontrollably happy. Like, are you fucking kidding me? I'll have this shit paid off in the next like 4 or 5 years. Yeah. Instead of paying your fucking student loans forever. That's what the real problem is. The real problem is that you get broken down by your debt and you're frozen. You can't do anything. All you can do is go to work and sleep and pay your bills. And I'm telling you that there's a life after that. I mean, there's a life during it too, but there's a life after that. For most people, it's called retirement, and most of the people I talk to are still up to their motherfucking eyeballs in debt, and they're trying to retire. And the thing about it is that the program that I offer has a term length with no prepayment penalty. So if your goal is to get out of debt as fast as possible, we can fucking do that with no penalty. So you would still save the same amount of money, you just pay it off faster. You can totally do that. You don't get penalized for that here. So I want for everyone that I talk to hear it every fucking day when I come in here and I tell you, hey you, if you have credit cards, oh my goodness, can you imagine what these credit card companies are going to do with President Trump allowing them to do whatever the fuck they want to do? Yeah, that's right. Hey, if you've never heard of the Pinkertons, you might want to get away from them credit cards. Because what do you think happens when this regime gets pressed? What do you think happens when what they realize what they're doing is not popular, it's not working? Look at what happened in Texas. Did you hear what happened in Texas? We should probably talk about that as we close. Okay? Texas recently passed what appears to be a gerrymandered as fuck yep. The only thing that matters when in debt is getting rid of it. Once you're dead, everything goes in the bank. Yep. So the Pinkertons are mercenaries. And if you think credit card companies aren't going to start hiring the Pinkertons to chase people down and beat them up because they owe them money, you're out of your fucking gourd. I play Magic the Gathering. So we're going to talk about this, okay? I play Magic the Gathering. Okay, Magic the Gathering is owned by Hasbro and Mattel. Okay, and Magic the Gathering, by the way, is incredible. hmm Magic, as a promotional vehicle, will send out its product to people that make Magic the Gathering content for them to be able to preview. And sometimes Magic will make a mistake and they'll send the wrong stuff. Did you hear what I said? In order to market their game, every set that comes out, Magic will send, Wizards of the Coast will send promotional product to people that are creating content about Magic the Gathering. And sometimes Wizards of the Coast fucks up and they send you the wrong shit that you ain't supposed to have. And instead of just calling you and saying, hey, don't open that box, we're going to send another one. Will you send that right back to us and don't open that? That has some product that hasn't been released yet. Instead of just making a phone call and being cordial and kind, they send the fucking Pinkertons to beat your door down and forcibly take it from you. And if it causes you physical harm, that's part of the gig. We're talking about a child's toy, Magic the Gathering. We're talking about little pieces of cardboard. So what do you think the Pinkertons are going to do over your credit card debt when these credit card companies realize 60% of people are living paycheck to paycheck in the United States? Debt is fucking exploding. We are at all-time high joblessness. Where do you think all those people's bills, how do you think they're all getting paid? Credit cards. So what do you think happens when people realize, hey, there's this guy that has a daily live podcast on multiple platforms where he tells people the very people you pay all that interest to are allowing what is going on in this country to persist? Because those creditors, those Amex, those Capital Ones, they could stop all of this. They could have stopped all of this. They almost stopped all of this. Do you recall late in the election cycle last year, several of your favorite right-wing content creators all of a sudden were only able to receive money via crypto? Do you recall several, not billionaires, but people that want to be, Dave Portnoy, all of a sudden stop making cash deals and start dealing in crypto? Do you know why? It's not because they're fucking commies and they want a decentralized currency and they think that's a great idea. It's because they want a lack of oversight. It's because they want to continue to do their fuck shit and not have the gov cracking down on them. Yep. Because all those people that got paid by Russia today, they all lost their visa privileges. So they weren't able to transfer money anymore. So that's why they switched to crypto, because they were like, we probably can't go to any of these creditors in the United States having received money from a foreign government and deposit that or get credit extended to us. And a lot of people are like, nah, Jared, they're doing just fine. It's like, nah. Listen to the words they say and shit. Look at Fuentes. Fuentes has turned on Donald Trump many times since the... Now, understand, making nearly the money he was, probably ain't getting paid that by them people anymore. Yeah. The whole point is with cryptos to make your money untraceable so you can move your money and do whatever you want. Yeah. So what were we talking about right before that when we switched over to the Pinkertons? Trying to remember. Oh, so the way interest compounds. So on a credit card, your interest compounds every day. So there are a lot of people that I talk to that brag about the interest rate on their credit card. Oh, this is 13%, 16% daily. Daily. It compounds daily. So you may be paying a low teens interest percentage on interest that compounds every day. Your amortization schedule is daily. That's why credit cards are awful, is because how much you're actually paying, how much is going to fees, like 80% of your minimum payment is interest. 80% of your minimum payments on credit cards is interest. And oh, by the way, there's a lot of people that have zero interest credit cards. Understand that once that becomes a high balance card, you effectively change the agreement with the creditor, and now they can charge you additional interest and fees. And for a lot of people, when your credit card gets to a high balance, their payment freakishly it like goes down. I can't figure it out. Why? Because you just became a high risk client. They lower the payment so you'll keep fucking making it, and then what they do is they jack up the interest and fees, and now you're paying even more interest and fees. Yep. So know that. And also, there's people that love to make overpayments on their credit cards, right? They tell me all the time, I pay the minimum payment plus another 100 on every account. Cool. Cool story. The interest is higher on an overpayment. So congratulations, you gave your fucking money away. That's what that is. Yep. So anytime you'd like to stop playing running on that fucking hamster wheel and start seeing how far you can walk, uh, somebody you might want to reach out. Understand that I'm not begging for business. I have plenty of the people that sit in my audience every day that are already my clients. Notice how no one is in my comment section saying, don't sign up for this shit, it doesn't work. Notice that. Nobody is a naysayer. Everybody's saying, no, that shit fucking works. It's real. When I call my clients to follow up and I'm like, hey, what's going on? You got any questions? Anything going on? They're like, I already got an offer. Oh, that's sweet. Totally what we expected. And they're like, no, you said it would take like 3 to 6 months. And that's the whole point of the program. Let's get out of debt. Lickety split. Fuck all these creditors, man. You think American Express is going to give you money for groceries if you fucking needed it? I ask every one of my clients that. If you have Discover, Capital One, or American Express, you know why? Because none of them credit card companies will do an emergency extension of credit. Just so you know. So it's like a loaded question. It's like, what do you think would happen? You're maxed out on that at Capital One. What if you called them and said you needed formula for your newborn? You think they'd give you $500? Well, fuck no. Cool. Cool. When I bought my house, I used a budget agency to make sure every bill was paid. After a while, I no longer needed it. Yeah. See, budget agency used to be pretty good because they would work for like low or no fees. But those budget agencies became, yeah, Discover's the fucking worst, Zeke. What I tell my clients to do is take your Discover Amex Capital One and go pull up just the front page of your the bill that you get. So keep this in mind. Like a decade ago, they used to hide information from you on your bill. I had a Capital One for a $5,000 credit card when we bought our house like 7, 8 years ago. Okay, I would get the bill and it would be 20 pages, man. And swear to God, 19.9%, 99.9% of that 20-page fucking bill was malarkey. I wasn't gleaning anything from that. They changed the laws, and now they're required on the front page of your statement to tell you your minimum payment warning. They are required now to tell you on the front page of your statement, if you keep doing what you're doing, it'll take you this long to pay it off, and you'll pay this much money. And once most people see that, and most people don't look at their bill, they don't look at their credit card bill anymore. They just pay it, right? But look at the fucking front part of your bill. Look at the front page of your credit card statement. That shit says with Discover that you pay forever. I have had clients that have been paying like $300-$400 a month on a credit card for a long time. And when we went and looked it up, and the balance wasn't even that high. Balance wasn't even that high, and they're not even old. So understand that. We pull up, hey, pull up the front page of your statement on this Discover card. And it literally says, you will never pay this off. Can you imagine like your jaw about hit the fucking floor when oh yeah, pull up your statement. It'll just tell you how long it'll take you to pay this off. You keep doing what you're doing. And they're like, if you keep paying your minimum payment on this account, you will never pay this off. What am I supposed to do? Enroll in our program. Let us negotiate the interest away and about 40 to 60% of that principal, and let's get out of debt. Let's get out of debt. hmm So we should check the weather and get out of here. And the thing about it is, I get more amped about what I do for a living every day because I've been doing this for like 6, 7 months. I'm still talking to my clients that are calling me that I've already done business with, and they're like, Jared, a third of my debt is already negotiated. Like I'm on the way. Like fucking A right. That's what I came here to do. Right? And I've had clients that are out that have already paid all their debt off. I've been here 6 months. That are calling me like, dude, I could buy a house. I could get a car if I wanted. Just throwing that out there. There's a reason I bring it to you is because it's like wildly valuable, right? Haven't joined a union, join a union. hmm Yeah. And there's, like I said, there's other people that are clients. So if you're like one of those people, you need. Me and my wife and I enrolled in the program, right? We've been in the program 6 months as of the 20th, so 4 days ago. We enrolled 12 accounts. 6 months in, half of those have been negotiated, two of them have been paid off, and we've already seen the impact to our credit. And yes, you'll take a little hit to your credit, but like within like 3 to 6 months, accounts will get paid off, and it'll impact your credit score positively. Yeah, this is a zero downside decision. The downsides are you stop using them, stop paying them, and stop communicating with them. And when I tell people that, they're like, Jared, no, tell me the downsides of your program. Stop using them, stop paying them, stop communicating with them. And they're like, those aren't downsides. Those are things I get to do. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, you get to stop paying them, stop calling, stop talking to them, stop charging them. Know your credit's going to take a little bit of a hit. Most of the people I talk to, my craziest thing about this job, I keep running into people with multiple accounts that they have paid for a decade and never missed a fucking payment. And I'm blown away. Like, oh my God, you have 4 credit cards that you paid 99 payments straight without missing. What's your credit score? 550. What? How? How is your credit score 550? And then you look and it's like, well, they're maxed out. They have all credit cards. You got to understand, first of all, your credit score is all shades of fucked. Do you understand? When somebody who works in finance says your credit score is so goddamn stupid, like understand the base credit score is 300. You only get 300. That's the lowest it goes. Okay? Once once you go above 300, the biggest thing outside of the base 300 that you just get, the next biggest contributor to your credit score is payment history. You get 192 points for that. Up to 192 points for that on your credit score. So do a little math in your dome piece. What's 300 plus 192? If you said 492, that's not even a 500 credit score. Exactly. So off rip, is paying your fucking bill every month gonna equal good credit for you? No. Because there are 4 other contributing factors to your credit score, and those are debt amount, like how much debt you have. The more debt you have, if you have more than $15,000 in unsecured debt, you get no points. You want to buy a fucking house? What did I just tell you? Amount of debt that you have is 132 points on your credit score. Oh, shit. There's your 620 right there. And then the next big contributor is like 120 points, and that's for variety of debt. So what you typically want to see in someone's credit report is a car, a house, a line of credit, a loan, credit cards. They have a good debt mix, and you get points for that. And so it's a difficult balancing act because now that will only get you to about 750. What about the 800? How do I get into the 800 club? What it takes are rotating balances below threshold on multiple accounts. And most people don't even fucking know what that means, Jared. And what it means is you got to have a low debt amount, you got to have your payments on time, you got to have a good mix of debt, and you got to keep low balances on your credit accounts. And most people are like, my credit score is fucked because I don't have a good mix of debt. I don't own a car. I don't own a house. I don't have a line of credit. I don't have loans. I just have all these credit cards. That's why your credit score's fucked up. You ain't getting no points for debt types. You ain't getting nothing for that. You only have credit cards. That's no points. And people cannot accept that. Like, that's not how that works. Yeah, yeah, the fuck it is. I just met with somebody that used to work for the FDIC, and you could also Google that shit. And I'm doing all this shit from inside my head. I'm not like looking at anything to back me up. Okay. Yeah. And a lot of people are like, I can just pay this off. And the thing that I'll tell you is that you can't. And if it was possible, people would just fucking do that. If it were just possible to just pay off your debt on your own, you'd have done it. We wouldn't be talking, right? If what you were doing was working. So anyway, let's talk about the weather real quick. I get amped talking about finance. You know what I mean? Uh oh. Weather intensity is climbing. All right. Here's your Sunday weather report. Again, if you live in the left third of the United States, get the fuck out. It shit's on fire. To the surprise of no one, if you have watched this show recently, you already know that the left part of this country is effectively perpetually a tinderbox. From New Mexico, Colorado, Montana, Wyoming, west, you have fire risk. And there are massive ass flames. I want to point this out. Uh, Arizona, in the middle of Wyoming, West Colorado, Arizona a little, New Mexico a little, Utah a little, big ass just what the fuck size fireball in the middle part of Idaho, in the middle of Oregon. It's like all in the middle of these states. Massive fire risk. And then, really, in the Gulf of Mexico, there is moisture touching every state in the Gulf: Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, the Florida, right? And then there is like a bunch of water off the eastern seaboard. So you've got like south of North Carolina and Virginia. I don't know the direction of the storm, but I'm guessing it's north by northeast. So I think that's going to ride the coastline. There's no indication to me that yeah, that's coming inland. We don't normally do that. Okay. So there, we talked about weather. Have a great Sunday. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Good to go. Why are you looking at top chat instead of live chat? I keep forgetting to do that. I'm always excited when we make it through another day. You said the Gulf of Gavin Newsom. Yes, actually, Gavin Newsom. He could be the guy that takes Trump down, but then it's like we need a real political leader and not a